Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Group 19, welcome to our presentation for our project paper in education. Our study is titled The Relationship Between Teacher Feedback Practice and Student English Writing Performance amongst Form 4 students in National Secondary School in Malaysia. I'm Athanasius, and joining me today are Desmond, Litna, Priscilla, and Jivita. We conducted this research under the supervision of Sir James Wong. Over the next few minutes, we walk you through why this topic matters, how we carried our study, and what we found, and what it's mean going forward. Writing in English is one of the most demanding skills for secondary school learners because it requires managing grammars, vocabulary, organization, and meaning all at once. Under the KSSM's curriculum, these demands only get bigger by Form 4. One of the strongest influence on how well students improve their writing is the feedback their teacher give them. This can be written corrective feedback, indirect error marking, metalinguistic commentary, or oral explanation in class. In our study, we're looking at the relationship between teacher feedback practice, our independent variable, and student English writing performance, our dependent variable, among Form 4 students across five Malaysian states. Here why this matters, fewer than 40% of SPM English candidates achieve a credit grade in the writing paper. The lowest score among all assessed language skill, according to the Ministry of Education Malaysia. Two problems stand out. First, feedback in many classrooms is often infrequent and lack the process-oriented guidance students actually need, as shown by Aziz and Rahman in 2020. Second, most existing Malaysian research is narrow. It focuses on the theory student or single urban school in Peninsular Malaysia. That's the gap we wanted to close by collecting data from Form 4 students across five states: Sarawak, Sabah, Selangor, Perak, and Johor. I now pass it to Desmond for our objective and theoretical framework.
Thank you. And now I will gonna to present about the objective and our research question as well. So our study is guided by the three objective, which is number one, to identify the type of teacher feedback practice from four students experience most. Number two, which is to assess the level of English writing performance among these students. And the third one, to determine whether a statistically significant relationship exists between feedback practice and writing performance. Each objective is paired with a matching research questions, which you can see on the slide as well. So the next one is about the theory of the framework. So our study is anchored by two theories, which is the first one is Hattie and Timperley 2007 model of feedback. Built from a synthesis of over 500 study, it explains that effective feedback closes the feedback gap between where a student currently is and where they need to be, and it operates at four levels, which is the first one task, second process, third self-regulation, and also fourth is self. The review found feedback has an effect size of 0.79 on learning outcomes, which is very strong. The second is Crescent's 1985 input hypothesis and monitor models, which explain that learner progress when they receive input slightly beyond their current level, and that they consciously use grammar knowledge to edit their own writing as well. Together, these two theories predict that consistent target feedback should help students write better. Next, which is the conceptual of the framework. Building on those two theories, our conceptual framework proposes a direct relationship between teacher feedback practice and also students' English writing performance as well. Our independent variable has three components: type of feedback, frequency of feedback, and also quality or specificity of feedback. Our dependent variable is measured two ways, which is student essay examination scores, which is objective, and their self-reported writing confidence, which is subjective. One important note that the quality and specificity dimension was planned in our original design but wasn't included in the version of questionnaire we actually distribute. We will explain why a bit later. The next one, which is research hypothesis. From this framework, we form four hypotheses. The first one that there's a significant positive relationship between teachers' feedback practice overall and writing performance. H1A narrows this to the type of feedback. H1B to the frequency of feedback, and H1C to the quality and specificity of feedback. Each is tested against its null hypothesis with significance set a p less than 0.05. Over to Litna now for our methodology.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Litna Srinaidu. So methodologically, we used a quantitative correlation design. We wanted to see whether a relationship exists between our variables without manipulating anything. It's descriptive rather than experimental and cross-sectional, meaning all data was collected at one point in time. For location, each of us collected data in our home state, covering both East Malaysia, Sarawak and Sabah, and West Malaysia, Selangor, Perak and Johor, so we could avoid the single location bias that limited earlier studies. Sample and sampling technique, we collected 210 responses in total. After excluding 6 respondents who either declined or didn't respond to the consent question, we were left with a final valid sample of 204, fairly evenly split across the 5 states, with 114 female and 90 male respondents. We used purposive sampling with 3 inclusion criteria. Respondents had to be from 4 students in a national secondary school studying English under KSSM and had to have received written feedback on at least one writing task that year. We do acknowledge that as a non-probability technique, this limits how far we can generalize our findings. Okay, in this slide, we're going to see instrument and data analysis. Our questionnaire had 3 sections. Section A collected background information, gender, state, and most recent exam grade. Section B measured feedback practices across 14 items, 8 on type, 6 on frequency, on a 5-point Likert scale. Section C measured writing performance through 5 confidence items plus a self-reported essay score. I do want to flag something important here. The quality and specificity items were originally planned. 6 items were not included in the version that was actually filed. So we weren't able to collect that data. We'll come back to this as a limitation later. For analysis, we used Python, Pandas, and SciPy, running Cronbach Alpha for reliability, Shapiro-Wilk for normality, and since our data turned out non-normal, Spearman's Ryo instead of Pearson's are benchmarked against Cohen's 1988 thresholds. All right, next is descriptive analysis, which is demographics. Looking at our 204 respondents, 55.9% were female and 44.1% male. The states were fairly evenly represented, 42 each from Sarawak, Sabah, and Johor, 41 from Perak, and 37 from Selangor in terms of Academic performance, the majority reported an A or A plus grade, 53.4%, followed by 37.7% with B or B plus. Okay, now I'll pass it to Priscilla for our reliability and correlation results. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Priscilla Peter here. As for chapter 4, reliability and descriptive statistic, our reliability result was strong across the board. Cronbach alpha of 828 for type of feedback and 903 for frequency and 901 for writing confidence, all well above the 7 whole on the 5-point scale. Students rate both type and frequency of feedback highly, around 4.2 to 4.4, and their writing confidence was similarly high at 4.45. The average essay score was 71.82%. One item stood out too. My teacher underlines or marks error without giving the correct answer, which measures indirect feedback score much lower or more variably than the rest, suggesting Malaysian teachers use this strategy quite inconsistently. Our next slide, high potency testing, which is correlation result. This is really the heart of our findings. Since our data was not normally distributed, we use Superman's row, both type and frequency of feedback, that showed strong and significant positive relationship with students' self-reported writing confidence. Row of 623 and 696 respectively, both p less than 0.001. But when we look at objective essay score, the picture changed, which is frequency show no significant relationship at all, and type actually show a weak but significantly relationship in the opposite direction we expected. So H1 is supported when writing performance is measured by confidence, but not when it's measured by essay score. And H1C one on quality of feedback simply could not be tested since we did not collect that data. Okay, for the next slide is discussion. So, why did we get strong result for confidence but not for essay scores? We see three possible explanations. First is self-reported and objective measures naturally diverge. Essay scores depend on task conditions and marking, while confidence reflects how students feel about their classroom experience. And the second, our essay score data came with some noise since students self-report in different formats, which is percentage, raw marks, letter, grades, and few could not give us a usable figure at all. And the third, probably most important, we could not measure the quality and specificity of feedback, which peer research by Hansen and Yusuf in 2021 found to be the strongest predictor of actual score gains, stronger than types or frequency alone. So overall, we think feedback in our sample relates more to how motivated and also confident students feel as writes rather than directly to a single measurement performance outcome. And I'll hand over to Jivita to close us out. Thank you.
Hello, now I want to present about the limitations. We want to be upfront about 4 limitations. 1. The quality and specific items were missing from our fielded question, so H1C could not be tested. 2. Essay scores were self-reported rather than pulled from official records and came in inconsistent formats. 3. As a cross-sectional, purposefully sample study, we can't claim causality or generalize our findings beyond the schools and states we sampled. And 4, 6 respondents were excluded due to consent issues, slightly reducing our achieved sample from the original target of 210. To conclude, our study found that teacher feedback, both type and frequency, is meaningfully linked to how confident Form 4 students feel about their English writing, but not clearly linked to their objective essay scores in this sample. For future research, we recommend 4 things, including a validate quality and specific subscale, since it's likely the stronger predictor, pairing self-reported confidence with objective school-verified performance data instead of student self-report, using a longitudinal or quasi-experimental design to see if feedback drives gains over time, and adopting probability-based sampling, like stratified random sampling, to improve generalizability. That brings us to the end of our presentation. To summarize, teacher feedback practices clearly build students' confidence as writers, but the link to objective performance still needs more targeted research, especially around feedback quality. Thank you very much for your attention. On behalf of Group 19, Athanasius, Desmond, Litna, Priscilla and myself, Jita, we are happy to take any questions. Thank you.